Hey guys, welcome to our 13th block-based programming tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about how to switch costumes and be able to move on to the next costume as well. So in the last example, we talked about what costumes are and how they can be found up here in the costumes tab. So let's focus just on, for this one, let's focus on Larry, okay? So let's say when the space key is pressed, I'm gonna switch costume to, and let's look at the costumes it has. It has A, B, C, and D. Okay, so when the space key is pressed, every single time the space key is pressed, I'm gonna switch the costume to costume A. So if I were to click the space bar, let's click the green flag. When I click the space bar, Larry switches to costume A. If I click it again, he doesn't move, he stays the same. Okay, so let's add another event in here. Let's say when the sprite is clicked, let's have him not switch to the next, or switch to a certain costume. Let's have him switch to the next costume. Okay, so whatever costume he's at right now, he's going to move to the next one. And in Scratch, they number each costume. So this is costume 1, costume 2, costume 3, and costume 4. And you can see that in here, he has 4 different costumes. So it will switch to the next costume, and if it gets to the 4th costume, it will then move back to the 1st. Let's go ahead and test it out. So if I press the space key, he should move to costume A. Now if I click him, he should be at B now, that should be C, and that should be D. If I click him again, that moves to Dinosaur 4A, right? But you could name your costume whatever you wanted to. Let's say I just come in here and let's name this costume, like I said before, I like it to just name it based off of letters. So let's just say this is costume. It's letting me update it. It's not letting me delete it. Okay, it's not letting me change the name of that costume, but that's fine. If you create your own sprite, you can go through and name the costume whatever you want. I'm not going to play with it right now though. So if you click him, he's going to move to the next costume. Costume A, B, C, and D, right? And let's say this is costume C. If I were to click the space key, he should move back to costume A each time, right? So when the space key is pressed, so I'll move back here, right? I click him. When the space key is pressed, he's not switching, right? I'm not 100% sure why the keyboard isn't working. Looks like something happened here to my keyboard. Nothing's on. Interesting. I wonder what happens if I move it. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure what happened there. I was playing with my keyboard. So we figured it out. All right, so here's our name, Larry. So you are able to update this costume. I was trying to figure out why I did that, right? So let's go ahead and change the costume. Let's just call this costume A. Let's call this costume B. I thought maybe they updated or something on me where I couldn't change it, because I've always been able to do this. Okay, and then costume D. So I can name the costumes however I want it to. And if I click the space key, he should move back to costume A, excuse me. And then if I click him, that should be costume B, costume C, costume D, and then back to A. Once again, we're at costume C. If I click the space key, there you go, he moved back to costume A, which is nice. Okay, so I've been able to switch each costume, right? Switch to a certain costume. If I wanted to switch it to costume C, every time I click the space key, he switches to costume C. If I want to switch to costume B, I can do that. Or I can add an event where each time I click him, or any event, if something happens, I can make him move on to the next costume. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.